Hey everybody, my name is Jordan Evans. I'm a full-time piano player and a music teacher, and in today's video, I'm just going to be sharing with you, because we're coming into college season, some of the best things I learned while at music school, some of the best experiences I had, some of the things I might do differently, and the way it's going to be formatted, there's going to be the big three. These are the things that you have to focus on and that I would recommend you start doing right away. I'm going to have a rapid fire just five things that I think are good suggestions. And then I'm just going to mention a couple of the classes that were my favorite while I was in music school that I think I learned the most from, that I was able to apply the most. Just real quick as an update, this summer was supposed to be huge for my YouTube channel. I had a lot of plans to be posting like 3 times a week, because usually the summer times are slow for musicians, but it was not that way, and it is such a blessing. But I started like 20 new students this summer, and a lot of my recurring students actually opted to take more lesson time during the summer. So kind of funny, I was much busier during the summertime than I anticipated. So moving into the fall, I'm actually going to be having 51 students weekly, which is going to be the most I've ever done. So I'm going to try and balance making at least one YouTube video a week with my 51 student load, plus my own practice and whatnot. If you're a musician or a college student, someone who just loves talking about music, be sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment so we can get to know each other. Tell me what you're doing in music. If you're a brand new person going to college, music college, let me know what school you're at, what your musical instrument is, and whatnot. So moving right into it, big three. If you are a returning college student or a brand new college student, the first one is practice. While you're at music university, you have practice rooms, your teacher's going to be giving you a lot of work, and this is actually like probably the most time in your entire life you'll have to practice. So as a musician, you need to be spending about 3 to 5 hours a day, maybe even more, practicing. I didn't really get into this until like my last 2 years of college, just because you think you have lots of time. But I promise you, this is the time to really elevate your skills to a point where after school, once you're out and you're working full time, you only have to practice like 1 hour a day and kind of maintain and still be growing and developing. But this time that you're in college is the time to really learn and invest in yourself. The second really big thing is building friendships and furthermore networking. The position I'm at now, teaching at the studio that I teach at, is actually because of a friend of mine in college recommended me to the person who owns that studio. And really, like a lot of the music gigs that I had, like a month ago, I played piano for a choir concert at a middle school, and the middle school director, the teacher there, we went to school together. So the people who you're in school now, including the professors, in a few years are going to be your peers, and they might be working in different industries, whether that's your recording or they're teachers. And as a piano player, people are looking for accompanists. And so the people you're with now are going to be the people that you're working with professionally in a few years. So really, be really responsible and respectful in that, and just have good friends. So like if someone asks you to do something, or you tell someone you're going to do something, really be impeccable with your word and your timing and stuff to start building that trust in those relationships now. And then the third of the big three is join as many ensembles as possible. There's a difference between sitting in a classroom and taking notes and learning, and then actually going and applying it. So even if you don't feel comfortable at something, say like jazz, or like a classical ensemble that you're not used to, whether it's wind ensemble or a string ensemble, just join it. Even the choir. The best time that I ever improved was when I was with other musicians, and it kind of forces you to practice. So that could be like a pop ensemble, there's jazz ensembles, really all kinds of different stuff when you're at school. So sign up. Most colleges require that you have like 8 primary ensembles and then 4 secondary ensembles. That's how my school was. So for most of my primary, I was a commercial music major. And it's funny, even though I was a piano primary, I ended up playing drums for so many bands that counted as my primary, because the university that I went to didn't have many drummers, and I can play drums pretty good. So I ended up always playing drums in my bands. I only played piano like 3 times in an ensemble, which I wish I had more opportunities to do it, but it's cool either way. And then for my minor ensembles, I did 4 semesters of choir. All right, time for the rapid fire 5. You don't have to do them, but these are just helpful, and it's really easy actually. First one is never miss a class, especially gen eds, which I'll get into more of that later. A lot of like intro level classes, you're just showing up. A lot of it's participation. You do stuff in the class. They'll tell you exactly what's on the test. They'll tell you exactly what to do. So just showing up to class and never missing a class. Number one, you build a relationship with your professor where they'll respect you. And if something actually does happen, you've earned the trust. And it's just the right thing to do. I know in college, it's not like high school where you have to be there. And sometimes you think, I don't need to go to my English 101 class today. I'd rather be practicing my piano. But I promise, just show up to every class. That's like half of your grade right there. The second thing that ties into this is learn how to spend your effort, especially with gen eds. For like your first 2 years in college and then maybe a couple others scattered in, you're going to get a lot of gen eds. And for me, I'm kind of a perfectionist and I'm not a good studier. So at first, whenever I started like chemistry, for example, I would be writing everything down and I thought I had to learn everything and master everything. But really to pass a test or to do the homework, you can find ways to do, and I hate to say this, the bare minimum. And I only recommend this for gen eds. For your actual, like if you're a music major, whatever courses are related to your studies, I recommend really committing yourself. But find the ways to spend as little effort as possible while still getting a really good grade. And like I said, showing up to class will be a big part of that. Third thing that I think a lot of people when they get to college is they kind of neglect is their own body, mostly in sleep, because living in the dorms, it's always a good time. You can have fun, so you neglect your sleep. Whereas musicians, our bodies are instruments, especially if you're a singer or like a horn player, then you require your breath. But really for anything, we need to have mental fortitude and physical stamina if we want to be able to play our instrument and practice for hours a day. So the biggest thing is I recommend eating as healthy as you can. Wish you're in college, have fun. But, and I hate to even say this, but keeping drinking to a minimum because that'll really mess your mind up. But as musicians, we need to really be taking care of our vessel, which is our body. So that way, whenever we're performing or when we're practicing, showing up to class, we're in our best state possible. Physically, just go on walks. Maybe you leave for class 15 minutes earlier, you take a long route around campus. That could be win-win. You listen to an audiobook and you get your steps in. And it's really as easy as if you walk a mile a day, do 20 push-ups, 20 squats, you're good to go. That's all your body really needs to be feeling good. And then sleep, like I said, sleep is the most important thing. I've made other videos about this, but sleep, if you're sleeping for like 8 to 10 hours a night, everything you practice during the day is getting repeated. So it's actually better to practice less and sleep more. Believe it or not, as long as you're at least getting like an hour of practice in, because when you go to sleep that night, it's reinforcing that in your brain. Fourth of the rapid fire 5 is make sure you're having fun with music. Something about music school, I've seen so many musicians get burnt out because they're doing just too much and they can't handle it. So make sure that you're communicating with your teacher, especially your private lessons teacher. What kind of music interests you? What kind of music excites you? And they're experts, so they might be able to find other genres or artists or composers who are similar to that, and you can explore things that are really interesting to you. If you get to a point where you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to practice, and you're dreading it, you're doing something wrong, and you need to communicate that to your professors so you guys can change what's going on a little bit. Because at the end of the day, your musical journey has to be fun for you while you're learning like a foundation of knowledge. Finally, whatever your instrument is, learn the piano. So say you're a clarinet player, learn how to play chords and scales on the piano. It is so good. And I know this because I played drums and violin my whole life. It actually wasn't until I got to college that I started playing piano. And when I started composing my own music, I realized everything happens on the piano. And the reason was actually my teacher would make us play our compositions on the piano, and I was so bad at playing piano that I couldn't even play my own compositions. So I actually changed my major from percussion to piano, and all I knew was like scales and chords very poorly, and I became a piano major at college. So I've only been playing piano for like 8 years now, but it's been the best instrument for me, and I love it so much. To the point where I sold my drum set, I sold all my guitars, everything, just because I only play piano now. But in regards to music theory, whether it's chord inversions, scales, scale degrees, learning how chords relate to each other, minor scales, augmented sixths, as crazy as it gets, it's so easy to visually see these things on the piano versus like a trumpet where you have your valves, but a lot of what's happening is kind of like in your mind. Same thing with singing especially. Whereas on the piano, you can sit down and physically see what's happening. And then finally, some of my favorite classes in school, conducting, believe it or not. I took 2 levels of conducting, and I thought I was going to be so good at it. I thought I was going to be John Williams or Brian Tyler coming out of the class, but it's actually so challenging. The fact that you have to keep time with one hand while also like giving the different members of the orchestra cues and whatnot. Essentially, the conductor is like a big mixing board in the back of the room. So say you hear the cellos and you can't quite hear the violins, you have to make an adjustment in real time. And what's really cool is everybody's following you for tempo, and by using your facial expressions, your body language is how you convey emotions to them, and all while keeping time and leading them. And it's such an impressive skill to have. Dr. Pettis was the conducting teacher at our school, and when he conducts his wind ensemble, at the end, he'll be like, tubas, I measure 67, you came in late. Flutes, you played the wrong notes in this passage, and he'll know exactly what's going on with everybody. And he won't even have music in front of him. It is absolutely bananas to me. So, and just furthermore, as a skill for myself as a teacher, learning conducting helped my accompaniment skills. So at my studio, sometimes I accompany the violin players. As a leader of a band, even if you want to go into contemporary music, you learn skills that apply to lots of different areas. The other one was anything regarding orchestration and arranging. So this is like taking music that exists and putting it into different instrument groups. I loved all of those classes. They were awesome. I liked theory a lot, obviously. The first 3 levels were really easy. But after that, it got really exciting, the next 3 levels, where we're doing really hard stuff like fugues and counterpoints and atonal music, all kinds of stuff. And the other one I really liked, even though I was bad at it, was songwriting, just because it put me in this state of mind where I had to be creative, because we were actually writing and performing a song, brand new song every week for the class. So during the semester, we each wrote like 9 or 10 songs, which was panicking for me because I'd never written songs before. I don't really sing a lot, so I had to do that in front of the class. It was a little embarrassing, especially because some of the other kids were so good at it. But I learned a lot about being creative in ways that I can apply to other methods, even in regards to like making YouTube videos or writing my own music. Lots of good stuff. All right, everybody, if you're a college student, best of luck going into the semester this year. This is just such an exciting time of your life, and it goes by so fast. So I recommend just enjoy it while you're there. Make sure you're practicing for 40 hours a day and just show up to your classes. Best of luck. See you guys later.